Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast with Joshua Latimer, where we discuss business, life, family, faith, struggle, fire, pain, and ultimately winning.
It's time to take massive action. Look, I can't work harder on your life or business than you do. It's ultimately all on you.
You know, God created all the food the birds would ever need, but he doesn't put it in their nest. You've got to go get it.
10 out of 10 people die. So how about doing something today that actually matters while you still can? Hey everybody, welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast. Josh here. Hope you guys are crushing it. I know you are. I know all of you are living the business of your dreams. And even if you're not, you're going to by the end of this year if you apply the stuff that we talk about in this show. Today's episode I'm excited for. I get to talk to my friend Jake. His name is Jake Ness. He has a service company in Glendora, California. He's actually in the Automate Grow Sell Bootcamp. He's a newer member, and he already had an established business doing close to $500,000 a year. They offer some unique services, and he has a gold nugget that is so awesome to share with you on what he's doing to drive new business for his company. Jake, how the heck are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. Josh, thanks for having me on here.
Thank you for coming on. Thousands of people are going to hear this and go, are you kidding me? How did I not think of this? This is so amazing. And give us a little backstory and then lead us up to kind of the purpose of this call when me and you had one of our coaching calls and I was just asking questions about your business and how we kind of got this gold nugget kind of unearthed. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we had signed up for the boot camp about a month ago, so really, really new. And I went through the first couple steps, and then it wanted me to schedule a call with you, which was awesome. And we were going over some things and couldn't nail anything down. And you just happened to ask me the question, what was your best marketing thing last year? And I'm doing all kinds of stuff, Facebook ads, Google AdWords, SEO, just like a whole, package smorgasbord of marketing. And it's working, but I can't track anything because it's so many different avenues and we have, ways of doing that. And you're like, well, okay, settle down, Jake. What was your most profitable or most high return marketing thing you did? And I said, well, I took one guy out to lunch and we made $50,000. And you're like, well, how many times did you do that? And it was twice the entire year. And you're like, well, okay.
We need a lunch buying system. Well, I think it would also help people to understand the type of service you offer and who you serve is even especially suited for this type of thing. What types of services do you guys offer, Jake?
Well, we do primarily concrete and stone grinding and polishing, but we started out as actually window cleaners 10 years ago. But we kind of transitioned into some more high profit services, which was concrete and stone. We still offer carpet cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, and hardwood floor cleaning and polishing. So those 5 main services is kind of what we're focusing on more so this year. We were doing window cleaning all the way up to last year. But this year we got rid of it, subbed it out. And the reason we did that is we found that in our LA, Los Angeles, Southern California, terrible market, commercial property managers are in dire need of high-level service. And these aren't just normal property managers. They're Class A buildings, which I've had to learn the terms. There's Class A, Class B, et cetera, types of buildings. And the Class A have to have a certain level of cleanliness. They have to have a certain level of sealers and so forth. So that was kind of our niche market.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So is a Class A building just the most fancy pants type of building or something? And a Class C is a warehouse full of junk or something?
Exactly. So you can even have a Class B and you think this is an amazing building, but if it doesn't meet certain air quality standards or it doesn't have a gym or it doesn't have a tennis court on the roof, it doesn't meet a Class A building. And their budgets are so much higher because they never want to lose Class A because they can charge more to their tenants for being a Class A building.
I see. Okay. So I'm assuming this is a competitive environment with all the wealth flowing around where I just went to Southern California for the first time. I went to San Diego. I don't know how far that is from where you are, but the amount of wealth in that state is mind-boggling. The amount of opportunity. I mean, my brain broke when I was just looking around like, holy smokes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty incredible. So you have to be focused, which we were not up until recently. We'll take on like a 2-hour radius where we will and used to service even San Diego, which is like a 2-hour drive all the way up to like Santa Barbara, which is another 2 hours north. But LA is only 20 miles away from us, but like a 2-hour drive still.
Wow.
It's really close, but the traffic's horrendous. So yeah, we saw this market. We saw they needed to be serviced. It's almost impossible to just meet with these guys. Like you can't just walk into their office. Like you have the security guard, number one, at the bottom of the building. Then you have the receptionist. Then you have the property manager assistant. Then you have the property manager. Then you have the senior project manager or property manager. So lunches are like the easiest way just to get straight to that top guy. And if he wants to bring 2 or 3 of his friends, the regular property manager, the assistant, the receptionist, like we don't care. Like bring them. It's only going to be an extra $60, Mm-hmm. And then everybody there is now on board. And when something comes up or a tenant complains or says, my tile and grout is dirty or what's going on, now the receptionist can call us directly, even if they're at that lunch.
It's so funny because no matter how fancy someone is, pretty much everybody loves lunch. And if you want to be a hero, buy someone some food and be really friendly. But I don't know. I think we overcomplicate stuff. And again, because you did offer like a crazy array of services. And I think when we were talking, it's like, all right, well, which ones are we going to go deep on? Like, what are we going to focus on? And you had mentioned how this, floor refinishing thing is super profitable and it's amazing. And then it was like, okay, well, how do you get those clients? And you explained it. And it's almost like the obvious was in front of us, but we feel like we have to maybe make things complicated. I don't know. I just know people listening to the show right now probably have some things they did last year that worked, but they didn't do enough of it. They didn't have enough volume, enough massive action around that one simple thing. And I say all the time, you can build $1 million company doing door knocking if you really wanted to, but you have to master the technique and the skill, right? I mean, do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And I would have never chose lunches as my marketing campaign for this year, but so far it's just been awesome. And some of the steps I was thinking, if you wanted me to go over.
Oh yeah, let's get into some tactics. This is going to be awesome.
Okay.
Teach us your ways, Jake.
Awesome. So honestly, each lunch on average, we've done about 10 so far this year, has cost us between $30 to $50, which is incredibly cheap. I mean, you're going to spend way more than that on a Facebook ad campaign to even get an email address of this guy or become friends with him on Facebook, let alone already lead you to an estimate. Mm-hmm. You got to pick the right people, which may seem hard to some. In Southern California, here we have an organization called BOMA, Building Owners Management Association. And all of their names, phone number, everything, email address is listed in that directory. It's kind of pricey. It's like $1,800 just for the year, which I was crazy scared to even become a member of it. So last year we became members, met some great contacts. And then this year I'm just going through this book with, tens of thousands of names of property managers. And you can just call them and you pick the top guy, but don't go too high. Because too high, they're not a decision maker. So for us, property managers has been huge. So anybody with that in their title, like property manager, senior project manager, property manager, that's kind of the key person we want to ask out to lunch. You're not going to get their direct number from that directory. You're most likely just going to get their receptionist. And the receptionist, we've tried before this tactic, but not with lunch, would just be like, yeah, no, his assistant can meet with you, but not him. Right. As soon as you mention lunch, as soon as you mention, yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, their primary job is to stiff arm people like you. I mean, that's their job. That's why Absolutely. They exist, because everybody wants access to these people. And it's really fascinating how we don't have a problem spending a few $100 on some flyers or maybe $1,000 doing a little direct mail here. But when we think outside the box, I don't care if you spent $500 on lunch, because the people that you're pursuing are doorways, I call them influencers, to dozens of really, really big clients, right? And it's about the lifetime value of the relationship. Even if they didn't hire you, I'm sure a lot of your lunches, I'll let you keep explaining, but nothing happens right then. But what's it going to mean for your company when you have actual relationships with 100 of these people and you've taken them to lunch 2 or 3 times over 18 months and they just know who you are? That's like a huge, giant asset, right?
Oh, 100%. And some of these lunches that we've done is our second time around. And those are where the actual work is coming from. The guys who are taken out for the first time are like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And here's some work. Can you send me an estimate or proposal? Which is good because now we have all their contact info. We know who the decision maker is because like, yeah, send it over to Susie in, this department. So that's the person who to keep following up with. And then the second time around, I think, is when you're really going to nail it down. And it's kind of what you talk about, the multiple touch thing. Mm-hmm. And even if you have to take somebody out to lunch twice, that's 4 hours of your time and maybe $100 maximum with gas and lunch and everything. Mm-hmm. So it's not an insane amount if you're going to get $10,000 worth of work that year out of that customer, which a property manager has the ability to give. I mean, oh yeah. Like I'll give you an example. One of our largest customers is a CBRE property manager. His service maintenance budget, and it's not just for cleaning stuff, but his budget is $2.4 million for the year. So that just shows he's got the budget to do a lot of stuff. Obviously that includes, HVAC, which I'm sure you have some listeners that do, plumbing, HVAC, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. These people are the decision makers and they have the budget. One thing you can learn too, which we did over the lunches, because it's kind of off topic, but what their maximum budget is without going out for bid. And you can do multiple jobs. So like some of our property managers, they have like a $500, max. Some of them have $3,000. So you just make your bid like $2,995 and do it 3 times, to get.
Right. No, that's actually a super important ninja trick right there. And because, look, these people aren't spending their own money. They're spending the budget's money from the building, right? They're just a steward of it. They're a facilitator. And that's true. I don't think I've ever brought that up on the show, but we did that, what you're talking about piece working a bid together as a way for them to be under the threshold of them having to get other quotes because they want us because we golf with them and we're friends with them and we have a relationship with them. There's nothing like nefarious or shady about it. It's just understanding kind of the rules of the game, right?
Exactly. And it saves them so much time and money really because they don't have to get their assistant to do all this paperwork and put it on the portal and blah, 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 which some jobs are going to require, to do that process. But most of the little stuff that gets you in the door is going to be under their budget. So you just need to make sure you're under that, come in and don't be afraid either to do free services for these guys, your first time around. Say you do upholstery cleaning, do one chair in their lobby and it will drive them nuts. Like just seeing that super clean chair.
Yes, we used to do that with gutter whitening where people had really black, disgusting gutters, but we would clean like 3 feet of it and it'd be perfectly white and then the rest looks horrible. No, demos are awesome. Tell me about the lunch itself because you don't know these people. Aren't you nervous? Aren't you like freaking out and they're looking at you weird and you're looking at them weird? What is that like? What happens?
So I personally like to take out 2 people if possible, just to give them a buffer. So it'll be myself, and then it's always like the property manager and his receptionist or his assistant, whatever, or her assistant. And it just kind of breaks the ice a little bit. And I find the assistant or the receptionist asks more questions about what we do than the property manager themselves. And that way it doesn't seem like you're selling. But yeah, we've had one-on-one lunches and it is a little awkward, but just talk about their kids, talk about, if they like sports, are you into football? What team do you like? Never, ever say you like a different team or whatever, by the way, either. Just be like, if they like the LA Rams, like good for them. Just like, yeah, they're great. And do a quick Google search while they're in the bathroom, like how the Rams are doing. Like, even if you could care less, just find that common ground and you figure out, what it is. So if they, do backpacking on the weekends or whatever, just figure out all this stuff about backpacking. And sometimes we do social media stalking a little bit of who we're taking out to lunch. Like I'll do a quick Facebook search of John Smith, who's property manager here. Oh, he goes, hiking every week. So just talk about like hiking and different trails and places you've gone. Just have that common interest stuff and nothing about work. Don't ask them what their job is, what their role is. Like they don't want to talk about that. This is their hour away from work. So you want to make it fun, entertaining, talk about what they want to talk about. If they like dogs, talk about dogs. If they like cats and you hate cats, pretend you love cats. Just do whatever you can to get that common ground, and it won't be awkward. So the first 30 seconds but just ask them, oh, what do you do on the weekends? You know any cool restaurants in downtown LA? Whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really smart. The best way to be an incredible conversationalist is to not talk at all and ask questions about other people, because they're happy to talk about themselves. And so am I, and so are you, and so are all of us. But there's you don't want to be manipulative or like overly polished with it. I think that the real key is just to be authentic and genuinely be interested in like their situation. But again, play the long game. You're not trying to get married on the first date, right? You're just like, hey, I'm Jake, and tell me about yourself and whatever. And then that's the embryo, that's the seed of a future relationship, right? What other types of tips do you have for us on that?
Well, for the tips with the lunch, I would schedule 2 hours. I've made it too quick before, and I lose out on some things. You're already driving a little ways, at least for us when we're going into LA. So schedule 2 hours, like 30 minutes before the lunch, to go to their office, find out where they work. They'll give you a little tour of their office. And if you see something in there that you can provide a service for, just put it in your notes, put it in your CRM of that person. Has concrete floors, has, wood desks, whatever, something that you can provide. Don't bring it up in the lunch, but just have that. And then your follow-up email, you can include that. Hey, I noticed you have concrete in your office. We can repolish that, make it look amazing, because you're just being observant. So go find out what they look at every day, what's bothering them, whether it's windows, whatever. They have nasty windows they're looking out of. And that'll help. And then you have an hour for the lunch. And normally it doesn't go a full hour, but just in case the service is terrible at the restaurant, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then 30 minutes after, I find most of these lunches we've gone on, they want us to go look at some project after the lunch. So after they find out what you do, which comes up casually, I never force, this is what we do. Look how great we are. I don't even say anything. They always bring it up. So what exactly do you do? And then you kind of go into a little 30-second, elevator pitch, and then be done with it. And then after, they may have a project. I have marble in my lobby. Can you take a look at that? We have some other company doing it, but the owners aren't happy with it. They say they're doing their best, but can you just look? And then you go look at it after. So give time to do a little estimate, get some information gathering after. One thing with the lunches is make sure it's near their building, because if you make them drive, 20 minutes away from their job just because you found some amazing 5-star Yelp restaurant, it's not going to help the process. So have something. I try to do it if there's a restaurant in the building, just go to that restaurant.
That's because really smart. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. That makes sense. That's good.
Because if the restaurant's in the building, they're also a tenant of that property manager. And there may be stuff in that actual restaurant that needs to get done. So as you're having conversations, be like, yeah, you see that carpet right there, how filthy it is? We can clean that. We can make it look amazing. And they're like, yeah, we already have carpet cleaners. Tell them, okay, give me one shot at it, free of charge, and we'll make it look amazing. And we get so much work out of that kind of stuff. Just because they already have people in place, but a lot of times it's janitorial companies with these ginormous contracts. And they do good on the trash and the dusting, but the carpet cleaning, the specialty services, they don't do very well, at least in our industry.
I think that's another big insight, is that really little companies try really hard to look really big and corporate. But then once you become really big and corporate, you try really hard to look small and hometown and personable. So like having a small company is an advantage when you work with a big corporate client, because the level of personal attention, the service, they oftentimes don't get that when some 2,000 employee janitorial company is handling all this stuff for them, right? It's definitely just a contract, like you said. I think that's really cool. And with you, you're just Jake. You're Jake, the guy that does the cool stuff. You're Jake, the guy that buys me lunch. Like, I want to give Jake money, right? That is a secret ninja advantage for sure.
Absolutely. Also, probably the coolest perk or thing that comes out of it is you get to eat lunch. And I don't know.
I love lunch. Lunch is amazing.
Most small business owners, if you're like me, like forget to eat lunch most days because you're rushing around so much looking at jobs. But it actually takes time out of your day to just enjoy an hour lunch, which I don't know who ever gets an hour lunch if you're a small business owner. So it's kind of nice.
Scaling, that's really good. What types of results have you gotten? I mean, it's early in the year. Do you have any like data on it? I know it's a hard thing to like track an exact ROI. Talk about all that.
Yeah. So last year, I would say it's a little bit easier to track. We did 2 lunches, I think, and we got like $65,000 worth of work over the course of the year. And that's still going into this year. This year, we've done 10 lunches and we have done about $7,000 worth of work. And we have another 45 or so scheduled through April.
Another 45,000?
Yeah.
Wow. And you just started doing this because our coaching call was only a few weeks ago or like a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been about a solid month. And my goal is to do 3 a week. And we've probably done about 2 a week.
Mm-hmm. I know you also have a growing company. You have employees. Yeah. You have a complex service. There's all kinds of training.
We just moved into a new warehouse like last week too, so that's been stressful. But I still did the lunches even while we're moving in.
Just tell us about the warehouse too. I mean, as we wrap it up, because this is a valuable thing too. What did it feel like when you finally were not just a business out of your house or your garage, and you got a real shop? Has that been good so far?
Yeah, so for 10 years, we've been running it out of my garage and a pretty decent sized shed, probably a 200 square foot shed. So we have a total of probably 600 square feet we're running out of, including my office, which was in my garage. No bathroom for the employees. So if an employee needed to use the bathroom and we went, to work early, they would have to come inside our house. And it's kind of weird when your wife is sleeping or whatever, and you're like, oh, be quiet and use the bathroom and get out. And the employees felt awkward about it. Everybody did. Where now, being in the warehouse, the employees' morale is totally different. I was freaked out because our warehouse is small. It's about 1,200 square feet or so, bathroom, little office, and warehouse. We park the van and trailer and whatever. But I was nervous thinking this is an astronomical amount of money, which it really isn't. It's like $1,000 a month for a warehouse. But just going there, the attitude of myself, even my wife is like, oh, I want to decorate the office. Can I work here? I'm like, yeah, you can work here. It's fine.
You're right, man. It's a huge mind bond. It does something in your brain that it's almost like you go, oh my God, I can see $1 million company in here. But when you're in your house, there's something there that kind of puts a ceiling on it. I know everybody that's went through this process is nodding their head right now, because this is what happens. It's huge for your employees. It's huge for your family. It's huge for yourself. Like, you got a little swag, you got more confidence. It's a big deal, but it is scary, isn't it, when you sign that lease?
It is scary. And the thing is once you do it, though, your employees are going to go to bat for you that much more, because the warehouse has nothing really to do about yourself. It's making the employees' lives easier. You're giving them a bathroom. I bought them a fridge, bought them a microwave, bought them things where they can just, store their stuff, and they feel like it's their office. I'm probably not going to be in there that much because I'm still going to have my home office, but I'll be there, once a day, but not working, 8 hours from there. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact the employees feel like they're valued, because they don't feel like they're weirdos in someone's front yard washing the trucks.
Right. Now, it feels like maybe this is a real career now, right?
Exactly. And it helps. I've already done a couple interviews there for some new hires we need coming into spring. And the hires they walk in and they have a different expression on their face. They're not like, why am I in this guy's weird garage office? They're like, wow, this is a really organized shop. This is, we polish the concrete in the warehouse. You could show them this is kind of what we do. Here's our machines, versus like, yeah, this is my garage and there's a shed and we just make it happen and it's awesome. Where now they're like, wow, this is awesome. How can I get the job? Where before you had to convince them, like, you're going to really want this job. Trust me.
Yeah. I've been there. I remember I had a plastic Little Tikes table for like children that was in my garage, and I would sit on it, and I'm not a tiny guy, and I'd like hunch over this thing and I would hand write out everybody's schedule for the day, and I'd be like copying it off a piece of paper I printed off, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I always say don't despise small beginnings. It's a beautiful thing. You're going to look back fondly. But with that being said, if you've been stuck for a few years and you haven't made this transition yet out of fear, I want to allay your fear. Like, this will make your business grow. It will not take, look, employees don't cost you money, they make you money. A shop doesn't cost you money, it makes you money. Marketing, if you're doing it right, shouldn't cost you money, it makes you money. We're super scared to invest or expand because we think that we're losing something, when in fact, we're prohibiting ourselves from gaining a lot by not doing these things, right?
Yeah, you just need to put the money in the right place. And I think you talk about that a lot. You just put it in the right place. Pay your employees well, give them a nice place, to make them feel like they're going to work every day. When they're going to your house, they feel like, okay, I'm going to Jake's house. And if we went out of town on vacation, they knew we were on vacation. Like, oh, Jake's truck's not here. You must be at the river this weekend. And they would text me like, hope you're having fun at the river while we're working. It's
gosh. Yeah, that's not good.
So now they have no idea.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. This is really awesome. And we don't have to overcomplicate our marketing. In Jake's case, taking these specific types of people to lunch has been wildly, outrageously profitable. And he started to overcomplicate things and luckily got some clarity that, hey, I'm just going to do 3 of these lunches a week and just stick with it. And really good things will happen, and it's already producing a lot. And I want everybody listening to think back to last year. What is something that worked really well, even if it was small? And how can you amplify it and multiply it and do more of that? How can you go harder and deeper? Don't buy 500 door hangers and think you're going to build $1 million business. You need 500,000 door hangers. Like, it takes more than what you think to achieve what you want. So I encourage you to go deep. Doesn't have to be complex, but it has to be a lot of massive action on whatever is working for you. Do you have any final thoughts, Jake, before I let you go?
Do hard things.
Oh, love that. I love that. Do hard things. Yeah, there's not a lot of awesome stuff that happens when you're doing easy things, is there?
No, not at all.
Oh, thank you so much, Jake. I hope you crush 2018. I know that you will, and appreciate you sharing your wisdom with our listeners today.
Thanks a lot, Josh.
Hey, thanks for hanging out, friends. And from all of us here at the Quick Talk Podcast team, we hope you loved today's show. We hope that you were inspired to become a doer and not just a listener. Apply what you've heard today in your own business and watch things change for the better. Lastly, remember that all the money in the world can't save your soul. Seek first the kingdom of God, my friends. We'll see you next time.
For more information about the Quick Talk Podcast or Joshua's other businesses, visit our website, quicktalkpodcast.com. Have a blessed day.